Hey, this is a video to show you how to manipulate the PID RNG in Pokemon Black and White. The PID RNG determines nature, ability, encounter slot, gender, and shininess. I'm making this video because I noticed many people have trouble manipulating the PID RNG. There's a logical process to PID RNG manipulation. This video is going to take you through the process step by step, so don't skip anything. Let's start with how to find a target PID frame for a non-shiny Pokemon. My target is an adamant Darling with chlorophyll on Route 6. I've searched in the time finder using 3 key presses. Now take note of my min and max frame. This is the IV frame, and you'll notice that I have one for min frame and one for max frame. The IV frame must be 1. Again, look at the numbers on the frame, and you'll see that these are all 1. You'll also notice that I haven't selected anything over here on the right. Ability, Nature, Sync Nature, ID, and SID. You don't have to choose any of this if you're not going for a shiny Pokemon. You can use my setup here as a guide to search. Of course, choose the appropriate encounter type and the IVs you want. After you've searched, choose a desirable seed. I like this highlighted seed, so I'm going to choose it. Right-click and copy the full seed to clipboard. Now go to the main window. Choose Method 5 PID RNG. Choose the encounter type. Choose a sync nature if you're using a synchronizer. You should use synchronizers because this will significantly increase the chance of getting the right nature. Synchronizers are easy to catch. You can catch Elgems in the Celestial Tower, or you can catch Monas in the Dreamyard. Now paste the seed where it says Seed Hex. You can simply right-click and paste, or you can use Ctrl+V. Now click Calculate Initial PID RNG Frame. This roamer release button here is if your roamer is still roaming the map. You can easily check this from the Pokédex. I've caught my roamer already, so I'm going to leave it unchecked. Now click Generate. You'll notice I haven't chosen anything else. This is exactly what you need, nothing more. Now to choose a target PID frame, I simply look for a PID frame that gives me the encounter slot, nature, and ability that I want. If I care about gender, I could look for that too. Click on 5th Gen Tools. Click on the encounter table for your game version. This will take you to the list of encounter slots, which will show you what Pokemon appear in what encounter slots on various routes. You'll see there are 12 encounter slots from slot 0 to 11. My target is a Darling on Route 6, so I'm going to scroll down to Route 6. Looking at the encounter tables, I see that Darling appears in slot 0, slot 4, and slot 6. These are the encounter slots I'll be looking for. Now back to the main window of RNG Reporter. So now I know Darling appears in slot 0, 4, or 6. I also want my Darling to have chlorophyll. So now I need to figure out if chlorophyll is ability 0 or 1. By clicking on the Pokédex IV checker and looking for Darling, I can find which ability is ability 0 and which ability is ability 1. The Pokédex IV checker shows me that chlorophyll is ability 0. So I'm looking for encounter slot 0, 4, or 6, and ability 0, and adamant nature as well. Frame 48 fits this description, and it's only 1 higher than my starting frame, frame 47. You might think this is good, but actually it's not. Generally, NPCs will advance the frame a little before you can bring up the menu, no matter how fast you press the X button, so your actual starting frame will be a little higher than what RNG Reporter predicts. The next video will explain how to find your actual starting frame. But for now, you need to know you must choose a target frame at least 5 or higher than your calculated starting frame in areas with NPCs. This means since my calculated starting frame is frame 47, I need to choose frame 52 or higher. Frame 52 has encounter slot 4, which is a Deerling, but it's Jolly and ability 1, which is not what I want. Frame 53 also has encounter slot 4, which is a Deerling, and it's adamant, and it has ability 0. So this fits the description that I want. So frame 53 is my target frame. Now if I cared about gender, I could also look for a specific gender. Looking at a site like Serebii, I see that Deerling is 50% female. This means I need to look under the 50% F column for Deerling's gender. Looking at this, I can see that my Deerling is going to be female. Alright, so that's how you find your target PID frame for a non-shiny Pokemon. Now let's go back to the time finder so I can show you how to find your target PID frame for a shiny Pokemon. Again, I've searched with 3 key presses. Min and max frame are the IV frame and they should both be 1. Your IV frame again should still be 1. Now if I want a shiny, I need to use some of this stuff here on the right. Now let's say I want the same adamant Deerling with chlorophyll on Route 6, but now I want it to be shiny too. From the Pokedex IV checker, I know ability 0 is chlorophyll. So I choose ability 0. Nature should be left as any if you're using a synchronizer. Choose a sync nature if you're using a synchronizer. Check synchronized frames only. Enter your ID and SID and set max shiny frame to a reasonable number. I find 1,000 is not too bad. Of course, check search for nearby shiny frames. Then you can search. Again, you can use my setup here as a guide to search. After you get your results, it's time to look for a target PID frame. This number under nearby shiny is your target PID frame. It must be 60 or higher, or else it might be impossible to hit that target PID frame. You'll notice these natures have bold letters. That means if I have a synchronizer, they'll change the nature of my synchronizer. So even though this says Jolly, it will be adamant if I have an adamant synchronizer. Now again, remember my target is a Deerling on Route 6, and Deerling appears in slot 0, 4, or 6. So I'll be looking for the encounter slot 0, 4, or 6. This highlighted seed here has encounter slot 0, but the nearby shiny frame is 17, which is no good because the nearby shiny frame must be 60 or higher. Here's another seed with encounter slot 0. It has nearby shiny frame 165, which is good. Of course, the nature is bolded so my synchronizer will work. And it has ability 0. So this seed is good. I'm lazy though, so I'm going to look for something lower than frame 165. Here's a seed with encounter slot 6, which is a Deerling, but the nearby shiny frame is 25, which is too low. Here's another one with encounter slot 0, but again nearby shiny 213, so I'm going to keep looking. Slot 0, nearby shiny 54, this is too low. Slot 0, nearby shiny 140, I still want something lower. Slot 0, nearby shiny 203, still want something lower. Ah, here it is. Slot 0, frame 73. Okay, so I found one that's encounter slot 0. Nearby shiny frame is frame 73. And it has adamant nature and ability 0. So this is good. So I'm going to choose this as my target PID frame. Now you don't need to choose something as low as 73. You can go as high as you want, but I just chose 73 because I'm lazy. Pretty much anything up to 1,000 is reasonable as long as you don't get easily distracted while counting. Right click and copy the full seed to clipboard. Now go to the main window. Choose Method 5 PID RNG. And there you go. Now choose the encounter type. choose a sync nature if you're using a synchronizer, and paste the seed where it says seed hex. Now click Calculate Initial PID RNG Frame. Click Generate. Right, so my starting frame is 49, and I already know my target frame from the time finder. My target PID frame is frame 73. So if I go here and I scroll down to frame 73, you'll notice frame 73 has these exclamation marks here. This means it's shiny, which is exactly what we expect from a time finder because we searched for a shiny. Alright, so there it is. That's how you find your target PID frame for non-shiny Pokemon and shiny Pokemon. Now remember that this calculated starting frame here is not necessarily your actual starting frame. You'll have to find your actual starting frame yourself, and the next video will show you how to find your actual starting frame.